We are live with episode 8.
Woo, you had to look, and I'm still kind of eating.
I wanted to make sure before I said it. That's what I thought it was.
Right. Well, we've been going at this for, this is our start of our 8th hour.
Hence episode 8.
I'm still doing math. Who do we have joining us?
Well, anyway, so this year, let's go back just a little bit. A fan had sent us a bottle of McCarthy's. It was one of his favorite American whiskeys. McCarthy's Oregon single malt whiskey made with imported peated barley.
I fell in love.
Yeah,
I did.
Good whiskey. You reached out to Clear Creek Distilleries, who makes McCarthy's. They said Jeanine would love to come on your show and talk about it.
And she did.
And she did. Jeanine Racht, by the way.
Hello.
Literally.
Hello, Racht. Yes, you came on to one of our live Sunday shows and killed it.
Yep. Such a great guest. And McCarthy's is so good. Phenomenal. We said, let's see if Jeanine wants to come back.
You're killing it, by the way. You're on like a park bench in New York City with Mark Gillespie. That episode killed. I'm like, I know her.
I had microphone envy. He has a microphone that gets rid of all of the sound. I mean, it was incredibly loud. There were people walking by. I think they thought I was famous, so we started getting looky-loos taking pictures. I wanted to be like,
yeah, you are. They're like, hey, there she is. And you could hear the occasional little New York sound kind of in the background, but it was just a touch, like the bicycle bells, ding ding. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Sirens in the background.
Real quick though, introduce yourself to those that are watching, tuning in, and tell us where you're at, what you're doing.
Sure. My name is Jeanine Racht, and I've been working at Clear Creek Distillery for 12 years, and I love it. And my job is a really interesting hodgepodge of, sales and marketing, but I like to see it as more educational because what we make is, fairly obscure, pretty small batch. And in terms of mainstream, I think whiskey is the most recognizable thing, the McCarthy's single malt that we make. I'm currently, our last episode, it was great because we were at the distillery. I was in the barrel room. I think my Wi-Fi is better right now, though, which was really important to me. So I'm in my hotel room, actually, in Seattle, which is, there's actually a picture.
Yeah,
I don't have my window doesn't have a skyline, but there's a picture behind me.
I see the Space Needle.
So, yeah, I travel a lot, and I'm in Seattle, beautiful, sunny Seattle right now.
Wow,
so,
yeah.
Hold on real quick. Super Chat comes in from Scott Slattery, William Slattery, also known as Scott Slattery.
Right.
He's the fan that sent us the original bottle of the McCarthy's.
There he is.
Favorites.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice super chat came in. He says, from the fan who started the love affair. Cilantro Slattery.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you guys have great fans.
You will hear some crunching. We've been going for a while. Bart has to eat.
I do. I got a big body.
He can't wait till we're done and do it on the break.
I'm trying to crunch quietly, but I crunched and it popped over to me, and it was like I felt like I was Groot.
Yeah, when Jeanine was, I don't know if you noticed, Jeanine, when you were talking, Bart was crunching, and the microphone switched over to him because of all the crunching.
And I had to freeze up.
Yeah.
It's not me. Not doing me. I'm like Baby Groot.
We've got cheese, and there's pepperoni, and there's other cheeses and meats.
Well, you can't live on whiskey alone.
You got to eat the corn chips.
Hold on a second. Hold on.
Sustenance.
Yeah.
We will order some pizza here in a little bit, but we got to wait for Cousin Shane and Shakes Pennington to get here so they can answer the doorbell.
Or my wife and the kids. Yeah, we're afraid that the pizza, ding, ding, the dog's going crazy, chupacabras destroying the upside of the house. I'll put the chips away for now.
So, Clear Creek Distillery makes McCarthy's, and you asked if we wanted to review maybe another batch of the Oregon single malt whiskey. But we said, let's take a look at your brandy.
Because they do differ a little bit from batch to batch.
Yep, you do have some differences there.
Yeah,
so
we don't change the peat level or the aging, but it's the nature of what we make. And we think it's really great that there are little nuances. And I think that's one of the reasons why people really tend to follow McCarthy's and not just one batch of it, because those nuances are just make it extra special.
I agree. Your terroir.
Yeah. And don't make fun of my glass choice. I was a little limited.
Oh my God! Look at that.
You're in a hotel, not prepared. Hey, a plastic cup is better than no cup.
Whiskey in some form, form or fashion is good, or brandy.
True.
Perfect. All right, so I jumped all over, but sorry, the brandy.
Sure. So Clear Creek was founded by Steve McCarthy in '85, based on brandy, but it was pear brandy. The pears were being grown in his family orchards. One of the reasons why I thought this would be of a special interest to you all, it's a brandy we make similar to Armagnac and Cognac, which just means we use regional grapes. The wine itself is distilled once in the same stills that we distill McCarthy's in, because that's what we have. They hold 60 gallons. They were all 4 of them made in Germany. We distill just once, and then we barrel age it in Limousin oak for a range of, 2 upwards of 7, 8, 9 years sometimes, but a minimum of 2 years. We make it like brandy, but we bottle it a little more like a single malt. So we don't chill filter it, and we bottle it at 85 proof. So it has a lot, in my opinion, a little bit more mouthful, and the weight on the tongue. It's just delicious. It is maybe my favorite thing we make outside of everything else we make. It's tough, and batch to batch, it's different ages and years. So this one in particular, we taste and then we bottle when we think it's right. So the age range can be really a little bit of a hodgepodge. But it has a lot more texture than a lot of brandies, and it has a similarity to some single malts, I think. Just not made from barley, made from fruit.
A couple things real quick. George Kaplan asks how the sherry edition is, or he wants to see it with the peat, but it's cognac. You have a cognac one you released in, it was a relation with one of the libraries or something there, wasn't it?
Yeah, we did it with a partnership with the Multnomah Whiskey Library, and I think we're going to have to do more French oak finishes because it took off and sold out. Just a 2-month finish in a cognac cask, and the differences, once again, are really neat. So we're looking forward to doing a few special releases with McCarthy's in the future. So to the gentleman that requested it, just be patient. We'll get there. But it's gone, unfortunately.
Now, what was after you joined us on the prior show a few months ago, Charles, Drinking Caveman, he's in the Seattle area. He had to seek it out, but he was able to get some of the. And I think, have you met him? He went and did a tour and stuff.
Yeah, he reached out, actually, and we were trying to coordinate. There's, just because of the state system in Oregon, there was one store that had it kind of, in the back, and he was able to get a hold of some of it and thought it was fantastic. So
yeah, he's got at least, I know, more than 2 bottles of it. Yeah, and he's watching, so maybe tell George can get with Drinking Caveman. Maybe they can arrange something on the cognac finish.
They could do a battle royale for it.
But then I noticed, though, so you were talking about this being aged for 2 years. And what kind of oak did you say?
French oak. It's called Limousin oak. It's used for cognac and Armagnac.
Limousin? Because I pronounced it limousine. It looks like limousine. Kansas pronunciation.
You can say what you can call it whatever you want.
Limousin.
Limousine makes it sound fancier. No, it's a beautiful oak that you might remember me talking about the Oregon oak being air dried for at least 3 years. The wood itself is very high quality. It's not kiln dried, so you end up getting a longer life out of it. It's the same with the French oak. The French oak is actually air dried for years before the barrel is actually put together. There's a medium toast, so there's not a heavy char. We're not looking for color extraction, which is another reason why the color differentiation batch to batch can be a little bit different. Sometimes people have a question, but we're happy to answer it. We don't use the caramel coloring to make a more consistent batch. We care about it. If you close your eyes and you smell it and you taste it, we want you to like it.
Beautiful.
Looks really don't matter.
We've got another cowbell. Bird dog
and big dog.
He said, "For the love of brandy." Woohoo!
Yes, that should be on a T-shirt somewhere.
Now, I don't know. Is brandy made with grapes?
So brandy is distilled wine, and wine is fermented fruit in the same way that whiskey is essentially distilled beer, and beer's fermented grain. Gotcha. So you can actually separate most of the spirits made in this beautiful, beautiful world into those two categories, whether aged or unaged. I mean, if you think about vodka's kind of like an unaged whiskey. Made from grain.
Yeah.
Yeah, filtered.
I might get angry emails after that one.
No. Well, they just filter it like 87 times.
Yeah, and through diamonds and charcoal.
That's right.
Don't get me started on that one.
You know, the nose. To me, the nose on this, it smells like a port finished whiskey.
I agree.
Picking up those wine influences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the grapes that we use, we have the lovely Willamette Valley nearby as neighbors. And because of the nature of what we do, we inherently had relationships with wineries that wanted to make port. Port is brandy and wine. So a lot of wineries would work with us, and we would either sell them the brandy or we would do custom distillation, charge them a small fee, and they could fortify their wine. We make grappa, which is brandy made from the dilapidated remains that the winemakers are going to toss out. And so you end up with really great options for the wine itself, not the remains and not doing work for a winery, but actually distilling the wine, Pinot Noir, sometimes Pinot Meunier, Muscat, Chardonnay. We have some really great Spanish varietals in Southern Oregon that grow really well in hot weather that are fun to play around with, but it can change a little bit batch to batch, which is also interesting. It's not that we're doing a different finish, but the grape varietals can change a little bit. But that's a little bit of that port. I agree with you in terms of a port finish or a sherry finish.
Well, that was on the nose, but the mouthfeel on it really does remind me of at least one of the Armagnacs, which I've only had samples of. It really reminds me of an Armagnac.
Sure.
Yeah.
Kind of astringent, that high wine presence feel. But the higher ABV, I think, helps it as well.
I agree.
It's delicious.
Kind of settles out. It's a little bit of a nice round sweet finish.
Now, we talked about or asked you before we went live. In the world of brandy, barrel aging for 2 years, where does that fall?
So it falls in terms of cognac and Armagnac. You have some beautifully aged 20, 30. I mean, we're looking at single malts in terms of the world of aging it for long periods of time. But for brandy, most of what we do is unaged, so completely water clear eau de vie. In terms of the aging, aging for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, 6, 7, 8. Our focus has always been on, does it taste good? I mean, even with McCarthy's, this is 3 years old. And a lot of people will often, kind of poo-poo it before they try it. You got to try it first.
Yes.
Age doesn't mean everything on a spirit. I think if the focus is on making a good spirit, the age statement can be all across the board. But we don't temperature control the barrel room. So the little barrels, or they're regular sized barrels, but in this screen, they're this big. So the barrels, when they're cold and dry, they contract, and when they're warm and wet, they expand. So they're like lungs, and they're constantly breathing. And so you end up getting some really nice, not over extraction, but really nice things happening to the spirit. And you're not getting the spirit affecting the barrel more than the barrel is affecting the spirit.
Love it. Well,
I was hearing my stomach making a little.
I had a little bit of cheese. You want some cheese? You want chip? I can get you a chip.
I will.
They're real crunchy.
These are digestivos. So.
Yeah. The crunchy chip.
Now, which is it? You do have one of your offerings has there's like a pear. I don't know how you get the pear in the bottle.
What's up with that?
We grow it inside. We actually attach the bottle over, I guess I'll use this one as an example, over the little baby fruit. And so the branch is inside. We tie it with twine, and it grows all season until we can harvest it. They actually just went on the trees a few weeks ago. They're about yay big, and they grow and they grow and they grow. and then we'll harvest them, soak them overnight in water, scrub them, and then we fill it with the pear brandy, which the company was founded on. And the pear brandy takes 20 pounds of pears to make a bottle. So it's serious stuff. But Steve needed a gimmick, you know, at a busy trade show or someone to just look at him because he was selling weird stuff. And if you have a bottle with a pear gun inside it, people love taking pictures of it. And yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that because you mentioned that. And I thought I remembered you saying on Mark's show, yeah, that was his deal. He grew some pears in there. I'm like, huh, he just grew some pears in there.
That'll be the next show.
Yeah.
Look out in your mailbox.
That's right. We got, my wife would be like, what is that? There's a pear in there. I'm like, that's right.
We gotta get you out to Hood River.
Oh, like the way you talk.
That's what we should do. See in person.
We like the way you talk. I'm very tall and I like chips.
Now, what was and the last time we met, wasn't the distillery in the process of a move or getting ready to move?
Yes, and knock on wood, we lost only one barrel full of spirits, period. So Portland has been our home since 1985. And without going into great detail about the lovely city of Portland and trying to build on to the current distillery, we decided it was in everyone's best interest to move the distillery to the fruit. So our fruit was always sourced within about a 90-minute drive. And now we're talking 12 minutes. You drive through the orchards to get to the distillery. It's beautiful. We just ran through our first batch of Doug Fir, which is the first kind of the fruit of the season. We're looking at cherries next week, and then it gets crazy. You know, we're starting to look at the rest of the berries and looking at fall. I can't believe it's already July. But it is smack dab in the middle of Hood River now, which is an easy 50-minute drive from Portland.
Wow. Now, by lost a barrel, do you mean Scott was seen on a forklift driving away? Like he was like, I got to work away. And he was like, and then Scott Slatherly was in the background going, good, you got it. Yeah. They'll never miss that one.
Keep an eye out for your mailbox. No, I'm joking. No, it went splat.
No.
You know what surprises me, though? You look at the 1792 warehouse or Barton Distillery collapse.
Right.
Look at how many of those barrels are still intact.
Yes.
When I saw that, I was, texting with my coworkers, Caitlin and Joseph at the distillery, because they feel so bad. They did such an excellent job moving everything. And actually everyone at Hood River that did it, the fact that we only lost one barrel and looking at those aerial shots, I thought it was bad enough when the first building went down. And then was it the 4th of July or was it the 5th that it happened? It was basically after festivities.
Yeah, it might have been on the 4th when the second half of it went down.
The second half went down?
Yeah.
I missed it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I knew they had them out doing a structural deal, but I didn't know the second half went down.
Yeah.
It's just all, but you're right. A lot of the barrels are still not a lot, but enough, more than I would think. And no animals or human lives were lost.
Perfect.
A bunch of fish, which some people are mad about.
I know it was the first one had the fish, but did more barrels break open?
I haven't heard on the second one. I would imagine so.
So you gave me the look because I don't follow the news.
No, I didn't get it.
There was a bit of a look.
I was like, oh yeah, that went down.
I felt
that was it.
Yeah, I imagine that would change the dissolved oxygen content in is it the river nearby? Lake?
Well, but what a way to go. That fish was like, hold on, what is this? Woo! And then bam.
Yeah.
I mean, thank God no employees were in the warehouse when it went or anything.
Right.
And then surprising, the first half went, so it's all there. They wouldn't let anybody in there because
rightfully
of the structural damage. And so all those barrels are still sitting there. And then the second half goes. And now it's just this big pile of barrels. When you look at the aerial pictures, there's still, I mean, to me, it looks like everything that's on top is still intact.
Right.
Who knows what's underneath?
You know what's coming? A special bottle release.
Oh, yeah.
Called the Barton Save or whatever.
Yep.
Boom.
Just
saying, that's what I do.
Nick is asking what distillery is the Barton Distillery that puts out. They might
1792.
They might have a couple of releases, but the 1792 series for sure.
Yeah, it was a huge loss. I wish them all well.
Yeah, Yeah, that's going to be, just think about that. I mean, all your whiskeys that have been aging, and actually Mark Gillespie had some good information on that as far as because he took, when you take the weight of each cask that's filled that was in there, that warehouse was the equivalent of, it was either 3 or 5 fully loaded 747 planes.
Yeah, he had a great episode on that because they were talking about, they don't know why it went down. They had the Weevil or the wood weevil expert on, again, not knowing if that's what did it or not, but they talked about that. They talked about the weight, the fact that a rick house is self-sustaining. The walls are just there to keep the weather off.
Right.
So,
that's nuts.
Yeah.
We built a very sound distillery.
That, yes.
How big, though, say, is McCarthy's stock or the Clear Creek warehouse compared to that Barton Distillery warehouse, size-wise or quantity-wise?
I think the first set of Barton, the first building that collapsed, the first rick house, it had, was it 100,000, 50,000 barrels? We have, of all of our products that we barrel age, we have about 400 barrels.
Okay.
Jesse Voisin says 20,000 barrel rick house.
Okay. And then total, it must have been in the 6 digits of all of it.
Huh.
I think.
So, but
I've been reading so many articles.
So how many do you store?
400.
400 with room to grow now that you're out there.
We have room to grow, but in terms of the operation, we're not going to get Barton size, but we have the ability to, have a separate rick house. So our rick house is our distillery. So we ferment everything, distill, barrel aged. It's all housed in one place. But we have the ability to expand, definitely.
Beautiful. Should we open?
Oh yeah, take a look at the.
Yeah.
You had another glass. We'll just share a little sample. We need to.
We've
got naturally. It's been a while since
yes.
since we've said it. We have to limit our intake. Doing this for 12 hours.
Right.
We are an ounce or less an hour. There was a couple hours where Bart pushed the limit.
Yeah. Well, we did the wonderful cocktail segment, and I just kept sipping, baby.
It happens.
It does.
That smells like Jolly Rancher green apple.
I've got to sip it.
Liquid.
So we have a theme of wood here. I was trying to figure out if you're going to be gracious enough to taste brandy on your Scotch show.
Oh,
can
sure.
I at least make it worth your while? So we have this French oak in terms of the brandy, American pot still, and then we have Douglas fir. So we actually make this brandy or eau de vie using essentially both gin making styles. So it's distillation and infusion of little teeny tiny Doug fir buds that pop out in the springtime. It eventually becomes the branch, but you can actually nibble on them. It's 96 proof to keep that color. That is natural.
You need to sip.
I was listening.
No, get in there, baby. Dive in. Tom R's in with the spot.
Calling Dr. Shane. Scott and Bart need a checkup.
Yep, we're
pizzas. Waiting for Dr. Shane to get here as well. I figured he'd be here by now.
Douglas fir.
We just had, it was 100. Somebody pointed out it was 120,000 gallons, not barrels. Oh,
gallons. Okay.
120,000 gallons, not barrels.
Gallons.
So
Douglas fir.
20,000 barrels, 120,000 gallons.
And Jesse is pointing out the first half that collapsed was had 8,000 barrels in it, and then when the second went down, there was another 8,000 to 9,000. So just shy of 20,000 barrels total.
Whew. Barrels.
That is. Time to go have all the other rick houses checked too.
I was thinking that same thing. Yeah.
Yep.
Then be some busy inspectors in the next couple months.
Yeah. But boy, yeah, you wouldn't want to be in there. You start hearing the creaking. It's coming down.
Yeah. That must have been quite a noise too. Almost. I mean, with the weight that you were mentioning that Mark Gillespie was talking about, that would cause a tremor.
Mm-hmm.
So this odd brandy took Steve about 10 years to develop because of the green color. He was having a hard time capturing the green, and he thought if he was going to make something from a tree, he wanted it to be approachable, and having it oxidize into a brown wasn't really in his mind appealing as a, tree spirit. And what he was doing was picking the buds and then after a few days, putting the buds inside of our unaged grape brandy, which is basically, this is the base of the Douglas fir, unaged. And what he realized was the oxidation happened too quickly. So the buds are actually immediately picked and thrown in the brandy the same day to capture the green. And he had a problem getting label approval. The TTB kept rejecting the label. And at the time, they've gotten better at it now. But at the time, they would just reject it without giving you a reason outside of your alcohol warning needs to be bold. Well, the computer really only had one bold option. So this got rejected, and he was trying to get someone on the phone. It took him quite a few months to get someone on the phone. And he said, I don't understand why this Douglas fir brandy is being rejected. I gave you, I have formula approval. I've dotted my I's. I've crossed my T's. And they said, well, sir, a Douglas fir doesn't exist. So he had to send documentation that pseudosugam and ZCI, scientific confirmation, paperwork to the TTB, the federal government, proving that a Douglas fir tree, which is the most popular Christmas tree, by the way, but very prevalent in the Pacific Northwest, it is indeed a tree. It is a real thing. Well, it's a real thing, but a false hemlock. Fun fact.
Wow. Now, we had a fan ask, what's the availability of these, and can you get it in Missouri?
Missouri, we have a wonderful distributor, A. Bomarito, that we've had for years. The Douglas fir is available, as well as the American pot still. If your favorite store doesn't have it or is out, just have them contact our distributor, or you can directly contact me, and we'll make sure you can find it at a store. We actually do fairly well in Missouri.
Now I'm curious, are these released in Kansas?
Kansas, we don't currently have distribution because of the system, but we are working on like an 8-month solution. So hopefully within 8 months.
Beautiful. What are your thoughts? I know you were emoting on our side here. It's very unique.
It is very unique. There's like a mid palate. There's like this heavy perfume, mint, forest,
mint,
probably the Douglas fir that kicks in, and then it transitions just into what?
I think it's a lot less aggressive than sap because the springtime buds are definitely more minty and citrusy. This is actually delicious with grapefruit in a Paloma. It plays well with tequila.
Wow.
Little grapefruit tequila and Doug fir.
I was going to say there would have to be some mixed drinks for sure that would just this would blow out of the water.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I've had some horrible ones, but I've had some really good ones too. I think people look at it and they really want to use it. It's an interesting product that also doesn't rip the enamel off your teeth. I think sometimes people get ready to hate it. It looks weird and it's made from a tree, but
right. And it's got this it's kind of that minty freshness at the end of it.
Yeah.
It's almost the most expensive scope you'll ever have.
Yes. Yeah, I didn't think of that. You're right. Minty freshness.
There's a lot of hikers that'll actually eat the buds because they're high in potassium and vitamin C. And when you're hiking and losing a lot of water, it helps you retain it a little bit. So I'm not saying this is healthy, but I'm just saying in terms of those kind of medicinal qualities, they can, be a little bit related.
I know what would help with that.
Our final guest.
Not hiking.
Hiking. But our final guest may have something to weigh in on. Too.
Oh, yeah. Dr. Rob.
Dr. Rob will be our final guest.
Yep. This one really surprised me. I mean, it's definitely something to sip on. I mean, neat or with an ice cube in it.
Definitely. It even says neat.
Does it?
On the back, I think. Drink it neat.
The Douglas fir definitely, I think, is mixed drink possibilities or adding some fruit to.
Now, once you open these, I'm very familiar with whiskeys and shelf life. What's the shelf? Oh, does it say on there?
Just enjoy.
Yeah, enjoy neat.
Yeah, and the shelf life is similar to whiskey, especially with the American pot still brandy. The Doug fir, you'll get, color loss if it's in the sunlight too long. but it is 96 proof for a reason.
Yes.
We wanted to preserve the color as long as possible. So you will have that lovely natural color for quite a period of time. And we don't add any preservatives or weird things. So there's no stabilizers that are going to end up being a floating island in your bottle.
Cool. Yeah, it's high enough proof. So very good. Let's see what kind of questions, if we've had anything come in. There's some conversations back and forth.
What's on the horizon for McCarthy's? Are there any new variations?
We're looking into and currently have some McCarthy's in different casks. We're playing with different proofs. And we may or may not be playing around with different mash bills.
Oh, snaps.
Oh, well, that brings up a question there. Where are we at on the single malt definition and working on regulations there? We know the committee.
Who cares about that?
I think it's going in a circle at this point because there are people that really want it,
right?
That definition, people that really don't want it, and then people that just want to drink good single malt.
Sure.
So hopefully everyone can meet in the middle, compromise, whatever it is. But as far as I know, the conversation is still being had, and nomenclature is difficult because when you have a definition, do you make it so specific that you're shunning other people,
right.
or
no.
Are you inclusive? So I think that's the conversation is right now is, who's getting included. And in the States, we're not known for having really strict nomenclature. I mean, you go to France and even with Cognac and Armagnac, and you have single malts, there are rules everywhere else. And here a lot of things fly, which, for better or for worse, there are positives to that and negatives to that. But I don't think anyone knows what they're doing in this arena right now. So we'll just have to keep an eye on it. And
well, we love what you were doing.
Thank you.
We
love what you are doing.
Ooh, all right. That's like a bucket of love. It's like a YouTube love.
That's what the whole day is about, right?
You're right, 100%. And please let us know as things are going on or changing, because we love having you on as a guest, and we would have you on at any time.
Awesome. Thank you. I love being a guest. It's great to chat with you, and always for people that are interested in finding out more information. It's amazing how often that doesn't happen. So, and your show's great.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Jason Whiskey Wise is asking, are you exporting to the UK? Do you know?
We have a little bit of distribution through La Maison du Whisky, and they actually send through France, Germany, and the UK a little bit. If you go to their website, you're able to find, it's different in the US, it's state by state, but in Europe, if you have one distributor, they can kind of funnel it into different cities. It's on a very small level, but you can find it.
How big, we touched on, you have 400 casks, was it, aging roughly?
Well, 400 combined with the single malt, American pot still, and then we also age apple brandies. So clearly most of that is the single malt.
How big are so you do different batches though, which are labeled on the front, like this is batch W1401. How many bottles were in that? How many bottles per batch?
So if you have 1401, there were, I think we had 200 cases that year. So the 14 is 2014. I'm sipping on the W1602, which is the second batch. We usually only do one or two batches. So the one or the two afterwards tells you if it was the basically spring release or the fall release. But we always batch label, actually because of Jim Murray. Jim Murray told Steve to do it because of the differences between the batches and for collectors and people that wanted to know. And also it goes to show that we're not just doing giant bottlings of 100,000 cases of this. It's really special and something to seek out.
Yes, I love 14-01. I do.
Yeah.
I've got a couple, and I'm like, boom. So we're going to do a couple giveaways. The first one, let's do this. Let's do the coins, and let's add in some of our little bumper stickers. So the first one we like to do is for those that are tuning in now, and we've still got 82 folks tuned in live right now. And what we would like to do is if you have maybe a little piece of trivia that you could put forward, and then the first person we recognize that you say, yes, that's the answer. And it can be based on something we talked about earlier in the show or whatever you want it to be. Do you have any thoughts?
For me?
Yes. So is there any trivia on like maybe the brandy that you would want to, well, we could talk about, I've got one idea would be with the wood that it's aged in, but you could use anything that you would like.
What is the scientific term for Limousin oak? For example, American oak is Quercus alba. Ooh. What is the scientific name for Limousin oak specifically?
Watch those comments.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Everybody's Googling it.
That's right.
I'll put it up on the Google.
Quercus.
And while you're Googling.
Quercus robus.
Ooh.
I haven't been doing an 8-hour show.
Yes, there you go. Eric Waite says Quercus robus. Is that correct?
What was the last letter?
Robus, R-O-B-U-S.
You are so close, but missing the last letter. Change that letter.
Oh, he's so close. We're looking to see if anybody else. Oh boy, what is Lewis? How's Lewis say it?
There's a couple saying Cecilia flora. Quercus Cecilia flora. Woods Frenchus.
Woods Hickus.
I like that one.
Now there's voicing.
Tiger
Quercus Roebuck, R-O-B-U-C.
Roebuck.
Once again, one letter off.
Oh, they're getting close.
So if you look at the incorrect one and the incorrect one, figure out what letter.
Someone says Tiger Woods. What is the Ocus
Sears
Francus?
Boris.
So they're close. Those guys are are Googling. What do we got? We're double checking to make sure we didn't miss anybody. I think we know we've got a couple close ones.
Robur.
Yes.
Oh, there you go.
Bing, 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 bing.
Louis Ochoa.
So it's R-O-B-U-R.
Yes.
Quercus Robur. So Moss Chun. And he is getting coin number 327. Number 327.
Louis Ochoa. Send us an email, scotchtestdummies@gmail.com.
I had the wrong name then. Oh, you're right. Louis Ochoa. I had the wrong name. Oh. Sorry, I looked further down.
Louis Ochoa. Send us your email or your address, scotchtestdummies@gmail.com.
All right. Yep. Look at that. 4 down. 4 down was Chun. Sorry, Chun. I was looking further down and I missed someone ahead of you. Louis Ochoa.
Whiskey Bloke is tuning in. I got to tell you, if you haven't seen, go watch Whiskey Bloke. He makes a video that shows you how he drinks his Jack Daniels. It's pretty good.
All right. I'm going to double check, see if we've got any other Patreon people. Again, you can support us on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com, look up Scotch Test Dummies. You can come in for as little as $1 a month, really, if you want. We had our morning wake-up call was a gentleman doing $100 a month. So, all right, nobody new. So go ahead and do you want to try Siri again? Give it. I'll be quiet.
Hey Siri. Hey Siri. Generate a random number between 1 and 104.
Random number between 1 and 104 is 82.
82. See, you can't claim unless we've hacked Siri. That's not our fault.
And 82 is Chandler Tyndall.
Woo! Tyndall. Winner, chicken dinner.
He just got a shout out on the Weller Special Reserve review.
Sweet. So he is getting, let me see your coin. He is getting coin 328. All right. And we got a couple, show those there that are coming out. We're going to sign these.
Stickers.
Yep.
We get one each.
Yes. Bam.
Make America Pete it again.
Woo!
And our Pete Android head.
Yes. Those are from our 16-bottle blind Pete shootouts that we did.
What do you have? You going to give that away?
They're in there. They're in this.
Oh, they get that.
The package.
Gotcha.
We got to sign these, though.
Ah.
Yeah.
You got the Sharpie over there.
I do. Sorry. Look at that. You're starting to feel it. You need pizza, don't you?
Yeah. I need something.
Your blood sugar's low.
Corn chips.
Woo. Well, find out where the music people are. Boom. We need a support team.
Yeah, you do.
So
You need interns.
yes.
What's your? Oh, we do need an intern. What's your plans for the rest of the night?
Yeah.
Jeanine?
What are you doing?
I am pouring at an event in Seattle called Proof. A lot of Oregon and Washington distilleries come together, and good food, good music, good drinks.
So are you missing out right now to do this with us, or is it not started yet?
Nope, this is my priority.
Oh, hey, look
I
at
set
that.
up, and I'm doing this. So, yeah, it's a late night event. So
Cool.
Fine.
Cool. Very good. We're good.
And I found an intern.
There you go. All right. What else? Tell everybody where they can find you and anything else you want to put out.
Sure. I'm out and about across the country, and I don't do a lot of social media, but I do have an Instagram handle, Jeanine Racht, and Clear Creek Distillery and McCarthy's each have an Instagram and a Facebook, which we run. And my email, I answer my phone or my email all the time, Jeanine at clearcreekdistillery.com. So if you have distribution questions, we had some internationally today. We had some about Kansas. We had just email me and I will respond and do my best to help you out.
Beautiful.
Tom R. asks if you will be in Chicago next year at the Benny's World of Whiskey event.
That's a great question. We're working on, we have distribution in Chicago, and Benny's has been a supporter of McCarthy's. I'll look into it. Do you think it's worth it?
Yes.
Probably.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll work on it.
If Tom R. says so,
Then do it. Do it. Definitely worth it. And I got a brother near Chicago too.
Yeah,
So
and I do Distill America every year in Madison. That's always been a fun event, so might as well do Chicago.
So Jeanine, you're stranded on a desert island.
good question.
A wooden chest washes ashore.
Yes.
You open it.
It's like Castaways.
Do you want to see one very good bottle of whiskey
Just one.
or 10 lesser whiskeys?
Yeah, they're still okay, but they're lesser. There's 10 of them.
10 lesser whiskeys.
Ooh. You're going to start it.
I love good whiskey, but if I'm stranded on a desert island without any fresh water and all that salt water, I hear you start going loopy and hallucinating. It's all about longevity.
Well, the
There you
cheap
go.
whiskey is going to help that.
Not necessarily
What's the-
cheap,
what-
just a
or
lesser.
the lesser
Just a
whiskey.
lesser.
It takes a lot of cheap, what's the saying? It takes a lot of cheap beer to make good whiskey in terms of drinking cold beverages while you're distilling. So,
Bam.
Oh, I got you.
I
Yeah.
like it. That's good. Well, cool. All right.
I mean, you got to be able to walk into any dive bar and find something to be able to drink, right?
Yes.
That is true.
Yeah. I know a couple things that are almost always there.
Yeah.
What's a favorite movie? What's your
We
favorite
like
movie?
this. Yes. Do you have a favorite movie?
Oh, that's a tough question. I have a few favorite movies, but True Romance, I think, is one of my all-time favorites.
Was that Christian Slater?
It was probably
Wow.
the only movie that I liked him in.
Scott is a big On Golden Pond fan.
Nice. Yeah, I like a lot of like the weird foreign films and the cult classics, and but I would have to say True Romance is probably one that I go back and watch.
For foreign, I love the French La Femme Nikita.
That excellent. Did you see the
Unbelievable.
show that they brought back, Nikita, in the early 2000s?
I did not.
It was pretty good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because we'd had the American version with
Bridget Fonda.
Bridget Fonda, speaking of On Golden Pond and the lineage. And it was good, but man, I ran across La Femme Nikita and I was like, whoa, it was gritty and rough and it was awesome.
Yeah, that was great.
Very cool.
Well, Jeanine, thank you for joining us. We're at 45 minutes.
Woohoo! Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome as always.
Very good. Very good. Like I said, anytime you get some news, let us know. We want to have you back on a Sunday live show.
I will. I'll reach out.
Cool.
And thank you everyone for listening to me.
No, thank you. We love listening to you. You're an awesome guest. You really are.
Well, thank you. Well, you're awesome host. You have great questions. And I mean, it's not that hard, right? It's not me. It's this.
Bam. We like the way you. Wow.
Plus, on my desert island, I will become a doctor with all of my disinfected, not as great whiskey, right? 10 bottles, one for yourself.
Yeah, and you can shave little like coconut flakes in there and make new little things.
Yeah, flammable. So many uses for whiskey without putting it in your mouth.
I could not burn it, definitely. Well, Scotch it, you Scotch gods.
Cilantro, dummies.
So yeah, thanks. We're going to be clicking off. Hang on for a second.
Cool.